So our first part is to create a simple login form. So we're going to go to form design. We're going to, maybe you can actually open our dashboard form and just copy the picture out of it. And if I go to right click on the form detail and go to form header and footer, we've got a header and a footer. Taking out the footer this time, I'm going to change the header to the back color to white, and in here I'm just going to paste, and that'll paste in my Drone Properties logo at the top. I'll not need as much room in the actual form, so this is just the design of the form. It's just going to be a simple form. And just to show you the actual process in action, what we want to do is we're going to have two fields, and we're going to have an event, which is an on-click event. If I go and Google Chrome here and I actually go to an email, some of you might log into Facebook, log into Amazon, whatever. The first function that we want to do is our validation. So you'll see that because I have nothing here, it's actually saying to me, please enter your phone number or your email address in the format. So you need to enter in something in here before it'll actually process on with the function for logging in. So we've got our username and our password. In our database, it's going to be a staff ID and it's going to be a password and a button. So we're going to have, the other thing is, it's an unbound form. There's no record source. We're not linking to any record source. We're going to use VBA and SQL to read off the back off the tables from the back end. So it's manipulating or it's actually reading off the back end tables without actually opening them, without binding the form to the table. So I'm going to put a text box in and put it in the middle here a wee bit, maybe have it a bit bigger, and that's going to be staff ID I'm also going to go and take that down a wee bit. If I go into my dashboard form, it might actually copy this, so it keeps it consistent. And I'm going to paste that in and log in screen. Right, so I have our staff ID. You can go and change the properties because the labels, the default labels, are actually like a grayish color. So I'm going to click on the color to have it black, so it's black. I might have it bold. And this is an unbound text box. And the name is very important, and it's important that you put the name in. It's very, very important for both the staff ID and the password. So we're going to call this, you can just actually put TXT staff ID, and that there stops it from confusing you with the actual staff ID field. TXT just means it's an unbound text box. Just the staff ID, I'm going to just copy and paste that, and this time I'm going to put in password in the label, and it's going to be an unbound, and this time it's going to be TXT password. And the other thing that I want to do is in format input mask, I'm going to set the input mask to a password. So if you go to data and input mask, it sets it to a password. So if I'm typing in anything, it'll basically be asterisks So this is going to be just, you'll type in your staff ID, your password, and the password will be asterisked out. The last thing, I'm going to go to design, I'm going to put in an event button, and it's going to be cancel out of the wizard. Again, the name is very important, BTN login, so it's a login button, and the caption is going to be login. So simple form. If you want to make it a bit smaller, you can make it smaller. I'm going to save the form as FRM login. And I'm going to close the dashboard form. So if I run the form, you can see that I didn't take out some of the properties. So it's a big form. It's maximized and it takes up the whole screen. So I'm going to go back to the design view and I'm going to change some of the properties of the form. So I want to have it as a pop-up, I want to have it as a modal, I want to auto center it, yes. I want to take out the min max buttons. I'm going to leave the close button in at this stage because we'll want to be able to close the form if we want to work on it. When we've got the form working and it goes to the dashboard, and we'll have a little function in the dashboard to take us back to the login. When you're leaving the dashboard, then we can take out the close button. So at this stage we're going to leave it in. Records selectors, there's no records, it's an unbound form and we don't need navigation buttons. So we now save the form and run. So we now have a login form. The only thing is I want to change the caption to login to, instead of the name of the form, I want to change the caption of the form. And again, to get the form, click up under the, at the top left, little dot like that, and I'm going to have login to Tyrone holiday properties. Right, so run the form now. Simple form, nothing happens. You'll see if it start taking a password, it's asterisk out. So the design of the form is good. I can now look at using a bit of code to actually check the form. So as we see from our actual, what we're looking to do is validate first to ensure user entry. So first thing that we want to do is when this user clicks this form, before it does anything else, it's going to validate that there has been user entry. So if we go to event, the event for the button is going to be an on-click event. So we're going to click the three dots, click code builder, and it's in here, the Visual Basic Editor code that we can start putting in our code. And what I start to do whenever I'm coding, doesn't matter in what programming language, I like to put in some comments. And it's what I do whenever I'm writing programs is actually write out all out in English and then into pseudocode and then into flowcharts and diagrams. So your pseudocode can actually be transported as your comments in your your programming. So we're going to have, first of all, validate user entry, and that's just checking that the user has entered into the two text boxes something. It doesn't matter if they enter in the wrong thing, as long as they've entered something. They have entered something, so what we want to do is check entry against data table. So we're looking at the staff table and checking that the user entry matches, and I'm trying to think what else in the login. Well, we'll do the authorization later. At this stage I'll just put the comments in because we're coming back to the authorization. because the actual authorization will be in the dashboard form. So first of all, we're going to check user entry. And to check the user entry is we can simply just check if there's a value in the text boxes, and again it's using selection if then else. The other thing that you're going to start to see a lot of is exit subs, and exit subs break the code. Some other programming languages use break, some of them use end, some of them use exit, so it's just basically exiting out of the code sequence. So remember that exit sub is a superb, and you'll see a lot of programmers, they'll do pieces of program and they'll put in an exit sub before they'll actually move to the next stage. So we're going to check if is null me dot is it txt staff ID, or you can check if is null. If you wanted to check the two at the one time and have an error, you can actually do it as a double entry. So we're going to have or is null me dot txt password, then, and we're going to go down and put our end if in, because when you start a selection statement you should always end it, and same with any program. End ID, I've down end if, right? So we're going to check there's some entry. So if it's null, what are we going to do? So we're going to actually just at this stage bring up a prompt, and we're going to say you have not entered your staff ID and or password. We're going to then down here, we're going to bring the control to, or we're just at this stage, we're just going to exit sub. So it's going to bring us back to the form, exit sub. What you could do is you could actually set the focus me.txt staff ID set focus. Now if you did it if is null and you're doing checking the staff ID first, then you would set the staff ID, but we're just going to do it for the double entry at this stage. So log in, click the login button. You've not entered your staff ID and or password, and it takes you back to the staff ID. If I put in a staff ID and log in, you've not entered your staff ID and or password, and again it brings you back to the staff ID. A better way of doing this would be, now I'm going to just show you something else. If so you'll see that it's not letting you, there's nothing in the staff ID or password. Another way of doing this is you could have just check the staff ID first, and in there you have not entered your staff ID, please do so, and the set focus, exit sub, and then else if. So we're now going to have two separate. We're going to check the staff ID first and exit, and then we're going to check if the password is null me.txt password, then, and then here we're going to have again a message box. You have not entered password, please do so. We're going to set the focus then to password, and and we're going to exit the code. Run back now and we can look at the screen, login screen view, and you've not entered your staff ID, you've not entered your password, please do so. Another wee function that you can do at this validation is you could even maybe have some sort of me.border color, no, me.txt staff id dot border color equals VB red, and that just highlights the actual field that the problem. Let's put that before the set focus, and it just highlights the field where you haven't entered anything. Border color equals VB red, and if we save and run the form, you'll see you've not entered staff ID, please do so. You've not entered a password, please do so. And then that takes us into the next stage, which is going to be now to check if the username or password matches the record in the database table. So that'll be the next video, or the next part of this video.